Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Guitar Souls podcast. We're on episode 8 now. I am missing a lot of my hair and my beard and it seems Mike has stolen it from me. And I'm quite envious of this fact. I appreciate that's actually useless to anybody listening and not watching. But
I'm keeping something down here too.
oh, stop taking your clothes off, Mike. So hi Mike, how are you?
I'm good, Levi. How are you?
I am good, yeah. It's been a slow news week.
Yeah, obviously there's been a couple of things we've wanted to rush in on, and as times went by, I'm quite glad we haven't for a few.
Yep.
Which is good. But episode 8 for all the listeners out there who are faithful and would like to continue listening, which is good.
Yeah.
Let's crack on.
So I will give us a rundown again of what we have planned. We're going to start this week with the album club, which we introduced last week. I'm going to give you all our thoughts on the albums that we asked each other to listen to, and then introduce a couple more albums to go out and listen to. So that'll be fun. We are then going to talk about Gibson.
Again.
The beating of a dead horse. Triple intensified.
Yep. Although it's a different angle this time, I think.
Yep.
It's a lot less fucking hell and more okay. Things are materialising now.
Yep. And finally, we're going to talk about Guns N' Roses because, people won't know this, but this is being recorded before the official announcement happens. We were going to hold off on this, but maybe even speculate as to what's happened. But it seems that what's happened has leaked, but we will talk about that towards the end of the episode. It's cool, though, so yeah.
Definitely interesting. Absolutely.
So, album club.
Yes.
Time. So last week, Mike asked me to listen to Cole by Leprous.
Correct.
Which was great. And I asked Mike to listen to The Unbelievable Guitar and Voice
by Jerry Reed,
which was
fantastic. Fucking fantastic. As I said to Levi, we had brief words before we recorded, just because as soon as I walked in, I was like, mate, that Jerry Reed album, you know what I don't like about it? It sounds simple and it fucking isn't. There's so much great guitar in it. And like, when he's singing along with the music, sometimes he's not even singing, it's like he's just having a conversation over a guitarist, but then you hear what he's playing and it's like on the fucking dot, like he's in the pocket at all times. And it's fantastic. I mean, I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Which is strange because it's outside of my comfort zone of music, or not my comfort zone, but what I would typically listen to. But I really did enjoy it.
I don't know, you listen to like a wide array of just, classic pop, older pop, Seal.
Yeah, I like Seal. I don't know much of his stuff, but I like the classics.
But yeah, point is you like a good, well-written song. And,
totally. Like, I do value songwriting and structure quite a lot, strangely enough, before you make any comments. No, definitely. I think, as we were talking about before, all music definitely has its merit, and understanding what makes music good and what makes music bad and what you like about things and what you don't like about things can only be a good thing for yourself as a musician.
Yeah.
There was something about Jerry Reed that I was a bit not too enamoured with, and genuinely, stupid as that sounds, it was just that most of the musical themes were about women. All the songs, not because it was about women, because all the songs had the same kind of theme.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it was a bad thing, it just felt like some of the music was getting a little bit repetitive.
Yep.
Not in a bad way, they were all good songs in their own merit, but
Well, when you initially said that, I kind of have that thought when I listened to the album, a similar thought, that it's an album of its time.
Definitely.
Yeah, women being property.
Well, there's bits in it where he's talking about rearranging a guy's face if he doesn't stop looking at his woman and shit like that. Like, that's not your person to own.
Yeah, but it was at the time.
Yeah, well, to some degree, yeah. And like, I think I understand the mentality behind it as well. It's not, or I hope it's not just meant to be you are mine and that's it. I think it's more like what's meant to be a masculine protective streak.
Yeah.
It's that, again, that's of its time again as well.
Yeah. The whole thing is very tongue-in-cheek, and I'm going to be the last person that's going to get all butthurt over something like that.
Oh, totally.
It's what do they say? It's not a dick, so don't take it so hard.
But it's toxic masculinity, Levi.
I know. Which I fall victim to all the time.
But the good thing is, if you recognise it, then at least you're not falling for it.
Yes.
You're just happy for it to be pacified, which makes you actually the enemy. Well done, Levi.
Oh, why am I not an ally?
I wonder why.
So yeah, we actually avoided talking about a subject about women on the podcast this week, not because not for any reason other than we want to have a female guest on the show when we do the subject at hand. So
I think it's only fair for as much representation as possible across the board, because neither of us can speak for any learned experience in that sake and that scenario, which would be good to have someone who can.
Well, my testosterone is so low that I'm basically a woman, so
you grow quite a mighty beard for a man who has no testosterone. I'll give you that.
I know, it's bizarre. Anyway, yeah, so let me talk about Leprous. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and we were talking about this before the show. Like, it's very difficult for me to work out how to describe it, because the voice is so, well, the word we came up with was theatrical. The entire thing is very theatrical. It's like a progressive rock musical, and I wanted I could say that my complaint about it is that I wasn't experiencing it as part of a stage show. I wasn't experiencing it in what I imagine its full form is, which is with a visual cue to go with the audio. At times I found the singing a little bit grating for that reason, because it felt so
overly emotive and like exaggerated.
Yeah.
I get what you mean.
I really enjoy his voice, and we talked about this beforehand. The track number 2, Chronic. I hope it's called Chronic. Otherwise, I've made a fool out of myself.
Sure, you're right.
Yeah, I'm sure. Am I right? Chronic.
You're right.
Yeah. So
from Dr. Dre's album.
Yeah. In Chronic, there is a wonderful moment where the keyboards and the drums and the vocals drop out, and you've just got the bass and the guitar, and it's such a great riff played with such a monstrous bass tone.
So simple as well. I think that's a part of why it's so good.
Yeah. And a crisp guitar part. The parts from a production standpoint, they are not recorded in a way that's supposed to make them sound like the same part. It's very definite. Here's your bass and here's your guitar, but they work excellently with each other. And I was walking actually to pick up my car for its MOT, and that hit, and I was just like, oh, this is cool. I really like this, because it happened, and you have the guitar and the bass, and I was expecting it to maybe happen for 2 bars or 4 bars, and then the drums kick in again. And it didn't. After about 8 bars, the vocals came in without drums and without keyboards, and I was like, "Oh, this is so cool!" And I found it really interesting for that to happen, and for me to kind of go. The only word I could use to describe it is heavy. It's just heavy, grinding, and I really enjoyed it. Vocals there, and
that kind of slow, continual pace where it's just pulling you along, and you're not getting the satisfaction of it, like, away from the suspense that it's building, and it's just pulling you and pulling you and pulling you.
And when those vocals do kick in, again, you think, oh, this is going to happen for 4 bars, maybe 8 bars before the drums kick in. No, he goes round the verse form twice, I believe, before those drums hit and the keyboards hit. Right, and it's absolutely brilliant. I'll always come back to that as being my favourite moment on the album.
Cool, that's cool. I like that. I'm glad you enjoyed
totally
it.
Impacted me.
Good.
And it's always a good impact when not only does a moment of a music stick with you, but you remember what you were doing when you experienced it.
Yeah. It catches you in that moment.
Yes.
That's
so
cool.
Anytime I hear that, I can picture myself. I know exactly where I was on the walk to pick up my car, and it's a snapshot of that moment. So I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that, because when you were talking about, you felt a little bit let down that you didn't have the visual side of it, because it's such like an overwhelming experience musically. The first time I heard Leprous was Kieran sending me a link to a video of them playing live, and they play a song that's got pretty much the same structure as what you're talking about from that breakdown in Chronic. It's really just the guitar, keyboards and vocals, and I think the drums maybe do 3 or 4 cymbal hits like to accent for the full song. But the stage show at that part, because it's just so suspenseful and like it's dragging you because you don't know where it's going to go, is fucking incredible. And I'd imagine seeing them live must be outrageous.
Yeah, similar band. Well, not similar band, but I'm hoping that I'm going to get a similar effect from seeing Tesseract live, because I've not seen them live.
I've saw Tesseract live.
And they're at Download, so I will go and see them at Download. But I was talking with you and Kieran about Tesseract and their new album, and it didn't grab me because I felt that there was never a payoff. I was like, there was a build, and I never got the release that I was hoping for.
Yep.
But I think that Tesseract are the kind of band where it works live, because I've seen good, that studio footage of them.
That's
performing.
fantastic, isn't it? There's two different ones. There's the one with Dan Tompkins and the other one where it's forgive me, I don't remember.
Some other dude.
Oh, I can see his face. I can't remember his name.
And moving on.
Yes, sorry.
Sorry, yeah. Okay.
The point was that both are good.
Yeah.
And onwards.
All right, so I've just spoken for a while about an album. So, yeah, of course, drop your comments below. Let us know what you thought if you checked out either of those albums, because we're, of course, really interested in the things that you enjoyed. What did you think of that particular moment on Chronic? What do you think of Jerry Reed being a terrible womanizer? Yeah, we're interested to hear.
Which is strange, considering, although the music themes are very masculine in that sense, a lot of the time he's talking positively as if, he loves that person or, he doesn't want to upset them.
It's weird when it comes to songwriting. There's kind of two ways to write, isn't there? You can write songs based on your personal experience, and you can write songs based on what you think people want to hear. And I'm pretty confident Jerry wasn't that womanizing type. He was married before his first album came out, and he was happily married his entire career. So yeah, he's flicked that switch and gone into the let's sing about, it's country music, isn't it? So.
Pretty much the country music theme. That's what I was going to say, is that whole my woman left me. It's really derived from the gritty blues.
Yeah,
it's cool. It's cool, but you're right. It's of its time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, so what have you got for me this week?
This week I was really struggling as to what to have you to listen to, because
which is awkward because we're only 2 weeks in.
No, only for the reason that a lot of the times, considering how musically diverse the two of us are, as soon as we hear anything that we think's cool, even if I don't think you might like it or you think I might not like something, we let each other hear it because it's what do you think about that? Because it's cool, it's interesting, it creates conversation, which is why this is really good as this part in the video and the podcast. So I've been racking my brain, and I think I'm going to ask you to listen to Cryptopsy, None So Vile.
Okay.
As I said to you, I don't really want to drag it straight down the brutal death metal route and that be the constant theme, but this is a very good album.
So
Cryptopsy, None So Vile.
None So Vile.
Correct. It came out in 1996.
I'll add it to my Spotify now, hopefully.
It should be on there. Yeah, it's quite a well-known album. Some fantastic songwriting, some wild songwriting, some unbelievable drum work, some outrageous vocals, and some of the most violent breakdowns and slams I've ever heard. I think it's probably the way to put it. I say breakdowns, probably mostly slams, but it's incredible, man. It's like...
Could you define for those not... Because we had this conversation last week before we recorded. Slams. Yeah.
Well...
Breakdowns and slams.
Breakdowns are more like
you played me a track off this last week.
Yeah. I probably did that. I think I let you hear Benedict
to demonstrate what a slam is.
I think so. There you go. Perfect. So how I would see it in my head is a breakdown is like you taking a riff and then you're breaking it down to give it a bit of a heavy payoff from the fast part. But a slam's more like usually a different riff to what you've been playing, and breakdowns are usually people scissor kicking and spinning. And slams are usually grown men pretending they are dinosaurs or wielding giant hammers and doing this through the crowd. So that's how I would define it.
Okay. Yeah.
I might be completely wrong, and anyone that wants to refute me, you're more than welcome to. More than likely, Chris Ryan will send me a very angry message on Facebook later on. What the fuck are you doing defining that incorrectly? I will kill you, etc. Hi, Chris. That's 2 weeks in a row you've got a shout out, man. You must be doing something right.
Certainly not wearing shoes.
No, doesn't like shoes.
Yeah.
Really like shorts.
I'll keep talking. I'm going to turn my boiler off.
Yeah, so Cryptopsy, None So Vile. To be quite honest, despite the fact that I'm playing in a brutal death metal band and doing quite a bit of touring, it's still a genre that I'm exploring myself. So there's a lot of bands and albums that I've maybe heard a couple of times and they haven't quite grabbed me, but I know there's good bits in them. But Cryptopsy, None So Vile, I've been through that quite a few times and I do listen to it quite regularly, and it's just fucking fantastic. What gets me about it's the energy in the album is fucking massive, and there's like little bits in it that are quite melodic, and somehow they've worked them in. They work really well. Not too far off of Dying Fetus. I was letting you Reign Supreme.
Okay, yep.
I know you really enjoyed that. I didn't want to bring that into this because obviously you've listened to it before. Quite a bit, I think. You use it at the gym, don't you? Or you had done?
I think maybe 3 times. So not as much as I could.
Yeah, well, there you go. You're welcome to give that more of a listen. But in a similar vibe, there's a lot of the kind of old school brutal death metal bands that are really good at putting melody into things but never making it feel like they're switching from heavy to just going with melody.
Yep.
It's like the riffs are perfect, they fit perfect, and the melody themselves or the musicality of the riffs themselves just fits the theme and the feel of the music. It's really good that way for me. So have at it.
Okay.
I would say that the standout track for me is Benedictine Convulsions, which is the one I think I let you hear with the fucking great big breakdown and the big slappy bass over the top of it and shit. It's just so good. So good.
Well, I'm giving you something completely different.
No doubt.
So just recently on YouTube, I did a video on 5, maybe 6 country albums that you need to hear if you are unfamiliar with country, you want to get into country guitar playing.
Okay.
And Brent Mason is one of my idols.
You've mentioned them many a time.
That guitar there, that telly is
the Nashville,
basically a Brent Mason clone. In that video, I didn't give a Brent Mason solo album because Brent Mason doesn't have many solo albums. There's only 2, and one of them technically is with his brother. So technically just one Brent Mason album.
Okay.
I didn't do that in the video because it's not a straight up country album.
Okay.
On the video, I recommended some Alan Jackson, but for you, I am going to recommend Brent Mason's solo album, Hotwired. Hotwired, yeah.
All one word?
2 words. Now, this will probably be a harder one to track down, and I might need to give you the audio for this. It might be on Spotify, but I don't know. I doubt it.
I'd be very surprised myself, to
be
honest.
I got it. I have it on CD. It's certainly a hard one to get hold of.
Hotwire is actually in a Hue and Cry album. Hue and Cry being a Scottish act, so I'll just listen to that instead.
So,
I'm like him.
Yeah. So, Hotwired. I really, really, really always enjoyed this album, and it was one that kind of crept up. It was the country influence on this. Sorry, it was this that kind of pushed that country influence into my ear. When I look at the tracks on it, Cayman Moon, it's not a country song. It's a soul song.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Mellow Midnight opens up with a full-on like a Rhodes piano type thing. Again, it's got a soul vibe to it. Blowing Smoke has a bit more of a country vibe to it. First Rule of Thumb is a wonderful kind of Jerry Reed-esque solo guitar piece.
Sounds really cool.
Which is great. Hotwired is Brent's country tour de force. Blue Water Girl, small ballady. Gator Bite is a country tune. My Little Ballerina, incredible, like Chet Atkins type thing. In fact, I'm pretty sure Chet plays on that. I'm sure Chet plays on that, and that was the last ever recording that Chet played on, which is a nice full circle thing because the first ever recording that Brent played on was a Chet recording.
That's cool, man.
Yeah,
that's like I know what you mean, coming full circle. That's really quite a coincidence, but a cool one at that. Yep. That's awesome.
Sugarfoot Rag, an old Hank Garland. Yeah, Hank Garland. Rag. Country in sound, but kind of Western swing, and then Swing with a Sting is pretty Western swing in sound.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a great record. It just is. Like, I think Mellow Midnight, the chord progression in Mellow Midnight is just lovely. Cayman Moon is a track that I like to just lay down a chord progression on and just improvise over because it's just a really nice jazz soul chord progression.
It is.
If anything, the country songs on there are the ones that I can leave those.
It's more so the ones that are kind of crossed over with other genres that stand out to you.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. I like that.
Yeah. And First Rule of Thumb is one that you should try and learn because it's that, like I say, the Jerry Reed-esque classical guitar type thing. The contrapuntal multiple voices moving in different directions. Just, really nice. Lots of groove. Great solo guitar piece. So, yeah, that's...
Is that one called Hotwired? No, it's not. Into that.
First Rule of Thumb.
First Rule of Thumb, sorry, right, cool.
Yeah, so that is...
badass.
It's a belter of an album, and Brent, huge hero, huge idol of mine. He has a second solo album with his brother, Smoking Section, which I love. I love that, and I might even prefer it, but that album is more consistent stylistically, whereas Hotwired kind of has a lot of influences on there. He was a super session ace at the time. He got a solo album deal. He clearly wanted to show off some of his musical chops and influences and what he was capable of. So yeah, big fan of that album.
That's cool, man. I like that.
And I think musically you'll probably enjoy it. Your ear will pick up things and you'll play them just to make me smile because that's what you do all the time. Just pick up a guitar and you play things that I know. So yeah, there we go. So Album Club. And of course, we are really happy for you guys listening to suggest your own albums for Album Club. If we get a good suggestion, I'm happy to do 3 albums in a week.
Totally, I'd say more than happy to. Like, we're eager for people to give us ideas for songs and albums that you want us to check out, and we can sit and listen to them. Good excuse to drink a couple of whiskies, listen to some good music, maybe even listen to some bad music. It just depends what was recommended, and go from there. Totally, get it done.
Cool. Okay, so let's move on to our next topic.